This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Jeremiah Milton over Zoom. Jeremiah, good to see you. You're on British shores. Before we come on to the reason you are, how's life treating you?
Oh yeah, man, life is good. Navigating this free agency right now still. Been about a free agent for like 4 months now, so just trying to make sure I end up in the right spot for myself before, just rushing into anything.
Free agency mode at this moment in time. How are you finding that and somewhat of the unknown in your career as you wait for the next opportunity to present itself?
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit difficult, just being in it. Just searching for the next thing and you take all things overhead. So like being my own boss essentially completely. You're always gonna be in the lead, but not having a team behind you right now, it's like just navigating things.
How quickly or how soon do you expect to have somewhat of an update on that front then?
I mean, I've had a couple of conversations just kind of fall short here and there. I got a really good lawyer that I'm speaking with, on the daily, just trying to make these conversations happen. So hopefully, maybe by the time I return to America, I at least have something, set in stone.
Obviously, free agency status does mean you can still have certain opportunities and certain fights present themselves to you. Is there anything on that front? Are there any names being bandied about where we might see you in the ring soon against them?
Well, you know what? Like, dude, at least in the States, you know what I'm saying? I've called for certain fights and certain opportunities and maybe just the business or whatever. Those dates have been given to other people. So, I've approached it from all angles. I really have. If there's somebody's gonna be putting behind me or if I gotta be put behind enemy lines, either way, I'm just trying to see what's available. And it's funny, like a lot of things have kind of not materialized in a sense.
Is there anybody who really you'd like to share the ring with? Any kind of personal history you've had with any people who you'd like to kind of squash that beef, if you will, with?
Well, I mean, I believe that Jared Anderson was given the title US best heavyweight. Um, you know, so I would like that opportunity if it's still on the table, for him to come back or whatever. Martin Bakole was able to do a number on him, but I think he'll come again at least. And I know he's still in there with um, you know, Tuck Sheik and those guys, so he'll still get other opportunities. But I don't know if there's really just certain beefs, you know what I'm saying? Like Makhmudov, let's see here. A lot of these other heavyweights and stuff like that, I actually called for them and it didn't really materialize. Hergovich, you know what I'm saying? I'd take that. Um, either way, either way.
Some interesting names that you mentioned there, and I'm sure if fights were to be agreed, you technically would go down as the B side in those fights. But the likes of Makhmudov, Hergovich, to a point, were regarded as avoided fighters. Obviously, Jared Anderson, very early stages of his career, despite the amount of fights that he's had. Um, but with Makhmudov and Hergovich, very interesting names. What kind of prompted you to maybe suggest those names to me now?
Well, I mean, the like you said, they are considered avoided, and I don't know why and who's avoiding them. They're just not asking the right people, I guess. That's the interesting thing about like the Saudi cards is like there's not a lot of hiding, not a lot of room to just, what I'm saying, duck and to be here and be there and be like, oh, I'm the boogeyman. On what grounds? So of course Martin McCauley is going on to bigger things. And he's been around for a while. And honestly, Michael Hunter deserves that fight more than anybody. But I don't believe in Boogeyman.
You mentioned there, obviously, with everything that's happening in Saudi, these Riyadh season cards. Turki Al Sheikh's obviously a big admirer, a big fan of the heavyweight division as well. Given your exploits in the ring, inspiring with some of those other top guys in the division, is it a surprise to you that maybe the call hasn't come yet?
Yeah, just a little bit if I'm being honest, you know. I like I say, more and more of the business unfolds to me, and I'm like, wow, there's so many layers that I just really wasn't anticipating. So yeah, you know, maybe just a little bit, but you know, I think, you know what I'm saying, everything is in God's time, you know. So inshallah, you know, I'll get these opportunities when I need them.
Just to touch on Jared Anderson as well, that was quite a dominant performance from Martin Bakole against him. I know a lot of industry insiders expected to see Bakole come out on top in that fight, but what did you make of it?
You know, it played out about how I seen it playing out too, you know what I'm saying? If I was to come out and say all this stuff on camera and be it raw about it, you know, I'd be labeled as just a hater or something like that. So, you know, boxing ring, anything can happen. But, you know, like I said, his matchmaking doesn't get any easier because, you know, he lacks the power. And without the power, you can't really get the respect. You know, Martin McCauley is obviously a vet, you know. The cards were really stacked against Jared in that sense. So on paper, I don't know. Anytime you see a guy with like all TKOs and not just KOs, but just especially those TKOs, I think it's always a little bit suspect. You had one of those brothers, I forget, Goucher, one of those guys. He had all 17 TKOs or whatever, and he fought one of Salas's guys, a slick Dominican fighter, I believe. Boom, you know, it was a clear winner in that. So, not to say he's not a good fighter or anything like that, but you know, unless your name is Deontay Wilder, some of this stuff is a little suspect to me anyway. Um, you know, or just somebody that's really putting them away, you know, proper like. And that's kind of the case of Jared, you know, he didn't really have nowhere else to go. You know, they built him up, they put him like just forced them down your throat like every time you looked up, oh, Jared's walking his dog, Jared's doing this, doing that. And so like, you know, it's kind of a cash in. They were aiming at Wilder, um, didn't get Wilder, so the next thing was Bakole. Um, and he couldn't say no to that.
With obviously Jared's return, man, and you mentioned earlier on you'd take that fight if it was presented, if it was to be, for him, it would be seen as kind of his comeback fight. Given what you saw in that Bakole fight, what would happen? What do you think would happen if you two were to share a ring?
You know, the same thing. You know, I think uh for himself, it's gonna be harder for him to come back, especially just shaking off what happened and how he just got dominated. But also, like, you know, he's always had just a leaky defense. A lot of guys they want to say, oh, you know, even it came out his mouth. He had to happen to say like, I hadn't got any better since the amateurs, which we had one spar, and you know, I was I was doing my thing in that spar actually. But again, sparring is sparring. It's Team USA. It was amateurs, whatever. But you know, I haven't really seen the adjustments in him. You know, and he admitted to himself that he didn't do the things that he was supposed to work on, and he was caught. But you know, for anything, it's just gonna be the lack of respect that he could command in the ring from a live fighter. I don't think he could command enough respect. He's a talent for sure, has, you know, decent boxing punches. I'm not even gonna say IQ, but you know, he throws decent shots and a good work rate, but you know, it's just gonna be the lack of respect, the power. Um, I hear people like saying he should go to Bridgeway. It's like, damn, the commentators were kind of laughing when he was trying to fight back. I know he gave his best efforts. He just lacks the power. Maybe it's because he's young. You know, does he develop it later? I don't know. I always knew it was going to be ripe time to get him right now, though, especially with him being so and soft, for better words.
Jeremiah, moving on to obviously the reason you're over in the UK, you're here sparring with Anthony Joshua ahead of his fight with Daniel Dubois, September 21st. What can you tell me about that? How's AJ been looking?
You know what? I mean, it's early in the camp, so not too much to speak on as far as, but I just say like, you know, I'm very impressed with this entire camp. You know, a lot of fighters in Ben Davis's gym, like they're just solid professionals, you know, and they live in this gym. Um, you know, I got to share some time with AJ out in Dallas, and seeing him out here with the combination of Ben Davis and everything like that, you can tell from the performances something's just different. So right now camp is going great. Uh, I've been in a lot of camps, you know what I'm saying? I've really been in a lot of camps, and I can't tell you the last time I felt like I was even learning something like from being in a camp. Like, I've been in a lot of camps, man, spar with everybody, just about, and got to be underneath a lot of trainers. And then sometimes it just feels like I'm there, just doing a job. But, I've truly been able to soak up a lot myself. And I think that's a credit to this team, you know.
You mentioned obviously, and you said you spoke to me about it in the past, going out and working with AJ when he's working with Derek James in Texas. Seeing him with Ben Davis, and now do you see a change? Have you seen more developments to Anthony Joshua than what you previously shared the ring with out in Texas?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, things take times, systems need to click in. Um, AJ's the only one who took it on the road, went all the way to the United States, in search of greatness. Um, Wind up finding it in his backyard. Um, for him, not to discredit Derek James, just, what fits the next man might not fit you. And yeah, what they've been able to create over here, you know, uh, being a fan of boxing, being, somebody who loves the sport, to see how AJ is doing now. And, like I said, you could just even look at the performances, right? Like I said, he's about one of the only people that I can see with the visual eye test that could probably get Usyk now. You know what I'm saying? And it's the thing. Yeah, he lost to him twice, but you know, the business of boxing moves so fast. It's like you gotta figure something out and then just jump into the rematch. And it's unfortunate that he lost to him twice already because everybody would be writing him off, even for a third go. But I think the fight would be so much more interesting now. And honestly, out of the Bakoles, out of everybody, you know what I'm saying, other than myself, I think he's the only one that could probably do it now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, he's like that.
From a technical standpoint, are there any specifics you can give us in terms of what you've seen with AJ's development?
Just a different mentality stepping into the ring. Um, you know, hey, you got two hands and 2 feet, you know what I'm saying? It's about how you use them. So like, everybody knows how to throw punches, but like, you know, why? You know what I'm saying? And when you talk to Ben Davis, he's a coach that's not about his ego. Everybody's fairly young in the gym, so the energy is up. Uh, and I think it's just one of those like perfect storms, man. It's interesting to see.
One way or another, everybody's expecting a knockout come September 21st. And quite a few people in the industry have suggested that Dubois might start quick, look to kind of put it on Anthony Joshua early. Is that something you could expect to see happen? What do you expect to see when AJ and Dubois are in the ring?
My personal opinion on it, from just um, I've actually sparred with Daniel and sparred with AJ now, so like I say, I think my personal opinion on it, based off of their last performances though, and just how they've been performing as of late, I see Dubois, he's developed more willingness to stay in there. Um, you know, so his heart, what he what he wants to go through in order to get the victory. He's a lot stronger mentally in that sense, kind of the equivalent of being, just tougher. Um, I think this is just gonna be a good fight for Wembley, just all around. Just I you don't know, it's heavyweight boxing. So in this one right here, I know I get on here a lot of times and I don't ever like, give a but I mean, how can you? How can you with these two? You know what I'm saying? They both Daniel Dubois is on the upswing, Joshua's on the upswing. Shit, we just gotta see it.
Do you see it as a 50-50 then?
Yeah. I mean, to say 50-50, mm, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't I'd rather not be a little bit biased. Um, I think that it's fair to say it's a 50-50. Um, but I'll just say like things could go south really quickly. Just yeah, because these guys both punching, you know what I'm saying? Dubois young, Joshua's determined, still young, but yeah, it's you could say 50-50.
How long's it been since you last shared a ring with Daniel Dubois?
Actually, I hadn't sparred with him since he was under Shane McGuigan. So, I think he might have had one or two switches since then, maybe just one. Um, so that was in preparation for Trevor Bryant before he fought Usyk. When you fight a world title fight, I've always heard it does something to your spirit and brings you back. And you mature from these things, mature from these experiences. Um, Experience is the best teacher, and AJ has you know three or four times that in his bag with experience. So, I'm definitely leaning on AJ with the experience. But like I said, Dubois having been through what he's been through and 360 in the whole situation, they both have silenced their critics in their own way.
Um, what was it like coming back into the AJ camp? Because last time when I spoke to you about sparring AJ, it happened to be when you was in camp with Francis Ngannou. So, were there a few jokes told when you first reappeared?
Oh, of course, man. They're gonna give me a hard time. They gave me a hard time in Saudi, man. I thought I was going to fight AJ. I was like, yo, chill, champ, chill. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole team was on my neck, man. I'm just here to get paid. You feel me? No, they're both great, man. You know what I'm saying? I admire both of them. And a job's a job. So in the process, I got to make sure that I'm getting paid as well. But yeah, just a couple like, oh, look who's back, type of things. No hard feelings, man. Uh yeah, AJ is true to character, so I think he understands like separating everything and blah blah blah. And again, I'm not gonna be the one. I can't throw a punch for Francis. I can't do it, you know what I'm saying? Um and everything that's on tape is already on tape. Sometimes we get on here or we do interviews and we give our opinions, but like, hey, I say just watch these guys on film. And if you really study film, you'll know what you're looking at. Um, and yeah, bringing me into a camp, you know what I'm saying? Even though you bring me in for my skills and my work ethic, you know what I'm saying? You don't bring me in to give you the game plan.
Jeremiah, just moving on from all things AJ Dubois, sticking with the heavyweights. We recently saw Derek Chisora drop and then defeat Joe Joyce over points. What did you make of that fight?
What an amazing performance from Chisora, man. I had Chisora up regardless of the knockdown. The knockdown just sealed it, in my opinion. But I thought Chisora was just landing the cleaner shots. I think Joyce went in trying to give the people what they wanted. Because he was getting booed and stuff like before the fight even took place. So I think it was just like, okay, let me give them that show instead of he's only fought on the back foot one time properly, and it was in his Dubois fight. Every since then, he's just standing right there, just getting hit with everything again. And hats off to Chisora for because a couple times he did look like he was out of it. Now I'm not saying like okay that won Joe the fight, but if that referee would have decided, oh his body language don't look good, it could have been warranted to step in there a few times. Um, but War Chisora, man, he goes on, and Joe and them have to figure out how to rebuild. I think that, again, Joe Joyce should definitely reevaluate some members on his team to where they get things a little bit tighter in order. If he's gonna come again, he needs to tighten up on his team.
Just on the note with Joe Joyce, obviously I saw over Instagram you had a few issues with regards to some sparring, which you posted about. What can you tell me about that?
Uh yeah, I mean I've since tried to move on. You feel me? So I'm uh hey, they pretty much just wanted they pretty much was just putting their thumb on me. And I mean, you know, uh I don't I don't respect that. I don't respect how people move and then like this industry, people feel entitled to certain things. It wasn't personal against Joe Joyce. It really wasn't. He's just a victim of a bad team. And I just think like for myself, I've got a lot of sparring videos of me and a lot of people that were shared to me, and I've never actually had to move like that. But one thing is I won't be disrespected. Um, I don't. I'm not in here as a fan, you feel me? My time is just as important. My voice and everything that I tell you is just as important. And I'm literally sitting, you gave me this sparring video, but was dragging your feet to pay me. Yo, you gave me a loaded a loaded squirt gun. I'm not gonna say that whatever I want to say, but you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, at the end of the day, just show me my respect. Um, and then we don't have to get disrespectful in here, you know. And they got some other fighters on their label. Um, Guido, actually a good friend of mine. I was gonna spar with Guido. I was gonna spar with him for free because Guido asked me. You know what I'm saying? But it was the principle. It was the principle of all things. You drag your feet to pay me, and then Joe Joyce has to pay me himself because he comes to his senses that maybe like I don't wanna piss this guy off any further. And then you ask me, oh, well, thanks. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but could you still spar with Guido tomorrow for free? And you know, I just kind of had it. And I'm like, okay, you guys make me take down you tell me to take down my post to send my money that you're already late for 2 or 3 weeks on. Yeah, I'll take it down, okay. But I just put it back up because you're not gonna you're not gonna tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? If you want to take this down, come take my phone and come take it down yourself. You know what I'm saying? Pull up on me. I'm in the UK, whatever. Have words with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if I would have been in Vegas while they was in Vegas, I would have been at the doorstep. So this probably wouldn't have even got online because yeah, I'm not here to be disrespected, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been helping a lot of people make a lot of money. And yeah, I think, respect goes a long way.
Jeremiah, moving away from all things Joyce and Chisora and what have you, just two other fights I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, the past weekend we saw Jeremiah Miller and Andy Ruiz Jr. fight to a draw. A lot of people thought Jeremiah Miller had done enough to have his hand raised. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, yeah, I actually seen that for Jarrell. Like, trust me, I was going for Andy. I was going for Andy. But Miller thought he did enough to pull it off. And usually if you do get a draw, there's certain powers at play and stuff like that. So who knows? It was a bit of a close fight. They're essentially like the same person, you know what I'm saying? Big dude. Andy is the better boxer with the quicker hands, but Jarrell is the bigger guy that's coming forward and, just made for one of those type of fights. But yeah, let's see what happens with both of them next.
And final one, we see the run back between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury on December 21st. Do you expect to see repeat or revenge, Jeremiah?
Man, honestly, I don't see how Fury gets the job done. You know, he'll have to really work on his physical strength. I don't think he needs to be in there, trying to carry this guy and box with him and stuff like that. If he can improve his physical strength and really just step on him and stick to him like he sticks to you, yo, don't leave him alone in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Because he told you what he's gonna do. He about to walk you down and just treat you like a big old softy. So, stick it to him early. Do not go the distance or you're gonna lose.
Jeremiah, I appreciate your time and leaving out to obviously enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure I'll catch up with you close towards fight week. So thank you for speaking to me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Bless, Andy. Appreciate you, brother.